Hello everyone, and welcome back to our series on Enterprise Architect models. Today, I'm joined with Steve Maguire. How you going, Stephen?
Good, Tom. Good to be here.
Yeah, that's the way. Thanks very much for everyone who've followed us along so far. Please like, comment, and subscribe on the videos. It really helps the channel. Today, we're looking at an introduction to profile diagrams, Stephen.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. This is the 14th of the UML diagrams. We've covered the other 13 diagrams. This one's a little bit unusual because it's at a kind of a level where we're creating a profile that we're going to use in other diagrams. So let's have a bit of a look at it, and we'll get to understand what I mean by it being a different diagram. As always, we're going to change our perspective, and we're going to change our perspective to construction here, and this one here under custom technologies, Digit Builder. And what we're going to do is we'll add we use a pattern, Tom, to create this. Now, we've not used patterns before, but there's an incredibly sophisticated and comprehensive library of patterns, which are pre-formed models that you can just simply look at, select one, and then inject it into your model. So what we're going to do here is we've selected the new package, a new package here that will go in, and it will be one of the patterns. So we're going to look at, there's two patterns under this technology builder, the basic and the template. This is like an example one. We want to choose a basic template there. We'll say create model, and we're going to give it a name. Now, this name is quite important. This is going to be the name of your profile that will appear when you're using the profile. So urban parking is a sensible name for this one. We'll put that in, and look at all the work that's been done for us. We've got a number of packages and diagrams that have been created there, and these ones here, this one's called urban parking. Let's call this one, this is a diagram profile, and this one we'll call the urban parking toolbox profile, so we can see how this works. So we've got a profile for stereotypes. So these are elements and connectors. Now, Enterprise Architect has a lot of metadata for any element. So if we were to choose any element, you can see over in the properties window, there's a lot of metadata. There's if I choose one of these, well, let's go in and choose it. Look at a class. So look at a vehicle, and you can see that there are a number of properties that are already in here, which are incredibly useful: aliases and keywords and status and versions and in the project level phases. But we're able to add our own project specific, organization specific, industry specific metadata, so that when we're modeling, we can use these attributes out of the box from our profile that we've created, rather than adding them every time. So let's have a look at how this works. So we've got these three profiles there, and let's have a look at this urban parking one. Notice, as always, the toolbox has changed to be the things that we need for our modeling. Now, there's a profile toolbox, profile relationships, but there's also this other one here, profile helpers, which are kind of like little wizards, if you like. Now, you can do this from scratch, but even myself as an experienced user, I like to use the power of these helpers and only go back and use some of the more low-level things if I need to. So all I'm going to do is add a stereotype. And what kind of things have we got in our system? Well, we've got a parking meter. That's kind of a notice I'm doing that in lowercase, and I can add this as a meta type as well, which I'm going to do in uppercase, and we'll have a look at why that's a good thing to do. So we'll move on from this page using the wizard, and let's give our parking meter a property, and let's call it the ID. So this is the ID of the parking meter. Obviously, in a parking meter system, you want to be able to identify every one of your parking meters that's located around a city. And let's give it a default value. And I'm going to put in unspecified here. That's a little trick, Tom, to make sure that people don't think that the ID is is blank or something. So it says that it's unspecified. We'll put that in. We've got the opportunity here to create a shape for our parking meter as well if we wanted to.
Shape?
A shape, yeah.
We haven't seen shapes before. What's a shape?
So a shape is a different representation of the of the actual modeled element. You notice almost when we're dragging elements onto the toolbox, from the toolbox onto a diagram, they come up in a particular shape. Classes come up in a rectangle, so do components with a little a little connector symbol in the right hand corner. Use cases come up as an ellipse. So if we wanted to have a different shape, we could create our own shape for the parking meter, and we can do that quite easily, and there are lots of examples in the help system of how you could create that. And then every time you use that element, it would come up in that shape. So it's very very helpful if you want to create some sort of visualization of a particular element. We won't do that. It's probably a subject of another video at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
There's our parking meter. So let's put that there. Now, the other thing that we might want to do with an urban parking system is location. Location is an important thing. So let's have a look at location, putting a location in as well. So we'll do that, and we'll put in location again in lowercase. It's best practice, and we can put in the meta type there of location. And
so Stephen, while you're building this as well, I noticed when you finished the wizard from last time, it actually created an element. So now we have an element that represents a stereotype.
That's right. Yeah, that element is the parking meter element is the stereotype. So you can see the title of this dialog box that says add stereotype. And this is kind of like you're adding to the deep language. From a linguistic point of view or a modeling point of view, when you drag a class onto the diagram, it's a class. When you drag a use case, it's a use case. Now, the UML has already defined those things. We didn't invent. I didn't invent, and Sparx Systems didn't invent, and no one else in the industry invented the use case. It's part of the specification for the UML. But this stereotype thing is our ability to create a new type. So at the same level, if you like, as the use case. And so we're creating a parking meter, and we haven't put that in yet, but I'm going to show you how to specify what type of element we want that based on. But it's like we're, like if in our natural languages, like verbs and adjectives and adverbs and things, it's like we're adding an element to that level into the grammar. So quite a powerful thing, and that's why I said earlier that it's a slightly different thing to do. But you'll get the hang of it quite quickly, and you'll end up, like me, loving the facility and loving the way that Enterprise Architect has implemented it. So let's go through again. Let's put another thing in here. We'll put an add a tag value type, and let's call it ID as well. And we'll do that because the location is going to have an ID. And again, we'll put this in as unspecified. And we'll come back now and finish that off. Again, we could have a shape for it. Now what we want to do is I'm going to make these guys the same size. Just kind of tidy them up with the display ribbon there. What I need to do now is add a meta class to base these things on. So what kind of element are they based on? So I'm going to add that meta class, and I could have done that from the dialog box, but I wanted to show you that in a diagramming way. So it's the core elements we're looking at, and we want to base them on the UML class. So we'll do that. We'll put that class element there, and then we're going to just connect these guys up. And well, actually, I'll use the toolbox for this one. We'll use the extension one there, and again, we'll use the extension. And I like to use the change the line style to a lateral vertical. And then I want to change the other one. I could manually do that, but I can use this quick thing here to say apply line style of connectors of the same type. Now I've got them there.
That's a handy trick.
Yeah, it is. It's a very useful thing. So that's a useful thing, Tom. Now I've got that parking meter and I've got the ID there. The other thing that you might want to do with this is to put in an enumeration. If you look at the toolbox, there's an enumeration there. That's essentially, if you come from any sort of technical background, that's a kind of a list of available things. Like we could have an enumeration of the days of the week, and we could put in Monday through to Sunday. So we're going to put in here parking meter type. Now adding some literal values to these parking meter types. The urban parking meter system may still have a number of manual meters, so that might be a type that you want to be able to identify. And we'll put in a cloud type, which is the fully automated one. So having that there, we might want to also add to the location, may want to add some other things using our profile, edit with profile helper again. We're going to put some tag values in there, and we'll, in a spatial system like this, the typical thing that you would want to do is longitude and latitude to precisely identify the location of the meter. So we'll leave those there. And now we need to add this parking meter type into our parking meter. So this is going to act as a property. So I said with any element, we have all of the enterprise architecture properties, enterprise architect properties, but with our parking meter, we want to add some other properties. We've already added ID, but let's go ahead and add this this type as well. So again, our friend edit with profile helper, and we're happy with that page. Let's go on to the second page there, and let's add, not this time a simple one, but a specialized one. And we've got a number of different options there, but we're going to choose the enumeration. Now, we're just going to call it type because when it comes up as a property of the parking meter, we don't want to say parking meter type. It will just be more sensible to be putting type in there. But when we're choosing the enumeration, that one is called the parking meter type because there might be all sorts of other types in there as well. Let's choose that. Now you notice that that drop down and pops up. Let's put in there that it's that the digital is the default value there. Let's go OK to that. So we've finished that model. Now that diagram there is completed. It is a profile diagram, but that's not the end of our story, Tom. We need to use this profile in our own work. So let's do something now. We'll close this diagram for the minute, and we're going to use a special feature of Enterprise Architect, which is on the specialized ribbon to import this profile. Now, if I just pin these ones back a bit before, if you look at this, the stereotype of this is a profile. So I've got the urban parking package selected there. I'm going to go to the specialized ribbon, and I'm going to publish this technology. Now I'm got a number of different options, and we'll look at this in more detail when we do a video on the profile system in more detail. But we're going to import this package as a UML profile.
So we imported that without exporting it first?
That's right, Tom. We didn't need to export it. We can simply use this productivity feature just to be able to import that. Yeah.
So what does it mean to import something that's already inside our model?
So what it means is we're adding it to the functionality of the tool. So the tool has got a number of different packages of features. So it's a very extensive range of features the tool's got, and these things are already provided by the system themselves. So we've got all sorts of different technologies or packages of functionality in there, for things for the enterprise architect, things for the business analyst, things for the developers, the database engineers. And when we import it, what we're saying is we're going to create something in here that we can reuse. So we're kind of adding to the deep functionality of the product. So let me show you that now. I'll go back to that actually and show you the location of the urban parking technology there. So we've added alongside a number of these other pieces of functionality there. So let's cancel that. Now I've just behind the scene, Tom, I've done something. When we model, one of the first things I do is change the perspective. So what I've done is I've created a perspective as a shared perspective. Now I'm going to quickly show you how I did that. Before we were choosing things like UML and structural, but now we've got this shared perspective of the urban parking profile. Now that's gone in automatically there, but what I did to make it come up as a perspective was I went to the start ribbon and the perspectives, and I created a shared set. So what I did was I created that urban parking perspective there, and then I added this technology to it. So you can see this is the only one that I've added, urban parking. I could, if I wanted to, add a number of other technologies to that perspective as well. But effectively, I've defined the urban parking perspective.
So what's the difference between a shared set and a personal set and a system set then?
Right. Well, great question. You see, you've looked at that, Tom. You're very observant. You're looking at all these different panel options across here. So the system sets are ones that are provided by the system. So they're the ones that are kind of out of the box, and I can turn those on and off as well. If I say, look, our team's not doing any UX design at the moment, so we could turn that off, and all of those things have got different perspective. These are perspective sets. The personal set is ones that I would use for myself, so me personally, and the shared ones are the ones that I can use across different teams. So very useful feature, because creating this profile, I want everyone in the different teams to be able to use my profile.
Yep, no, it makes sense. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I've created that, and so now like I said, when I go here, if I chose a UML structure one, that's there, but I can go and say shared sets, urban parking. Now that's loaded that as being the focus of my work. Now, we're not going to create anything inside the package that we created here for urban parking, because that's our profile. Let's go to our class model and let's create a new diagram here, and we'll call it, this is the urban parking, or let's call it parking meter location model. So let's do that, create the diagram. Now we can just bring up our urban parking thing, and look at that. We've got these two elements that created the parking meter and the location. So let's drop a parking meter onto the palette, call it parking meter. Let's call it meter A or something like that. And if we look over at the properties, we can see over here that we've got, I'll close these, just collapse these guys for the moment, and we can look at this, and we've got an ID that's unspecified. Now let's give this a kind of proper ID. Let's call it the Sydney -009-AD, and like that. And look at the type we've got there. It's a digital meter, so we could choose any of those. We could choose a manual meter or a cloud. And remember, they came from our enumeration that we had there. So they've popped up conveniently there, and we can choose that. Let's choose it that it's a digital meter. So that's very powerful. I can also drop a location on there as well. And remember, the location has got ID. So let's call this, again, it's Sydney, and let's put it into a particular region and call it, 06-W or something, W for west maybe. So that's our location there, and we've got longitude and latitudes. And Tom, I'm not going to guess the longitude and latitude for these particular elements, but you can see how a geospatial kind of modeler would put those in and know what they're about. I can link these up with an association there and say that location there is part of that. And further down the track, when we look at this, we could also put in that location and model that and have it as a property of the meter. So we could extend this and put the location in as a property of that. But we won't do that at the moment. But that's a useful thing to do. Let's have a look at our compartment visibility here, and let's put those things onto our diagram. So what we did here in this session was we created an urban parking profile, and which contained a number of elements. So if you go back through it, we had our profiles, and remember, we can both do diagrams and toolboxes. We haven't done that yet. That's a topic for another video. And then we created some elements here and said what meta class they belong to. So it's a parking meter is a type class, and a location is a type class. And of course, we had our enumeration, which allowed us to specify the types. And we've just touched the tip of the iceberg with this, Tom. It's an incredibly powerful facility. Then we've gone in and said, look, we need to create that perspective so that people can use it. It's a shared perspective. Anyone that's using this repository, this model, will be able to see that. And then anyone will be able to, to bring that toolbox up as well. And of course, we would have a number of different elements and relationships and all sorts of things. But that's the basis of the basics of the profile diagram.
Oh, absolutely, Stephen. That was a fantastic video. Really good introduction to what seemingly is a way of customizing the tool exactly to any organization's needs. So very, very useful for a lot of our viewers out there, I believe. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks very much, Stephen. We'll see you back here for the next video.
I look forward to it, Tom.